So what was just the day before A-Day has turned into something I think really interesting. I mean, fascinating, and not just for the people to which it is happening. And let's get into that on a brand new Village Vice. See, Zach Blackerby, I'm Brad Law. MyBookie.ag sponsors this show. They're going to give you a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 just when you use promo code BARN. That's so easy. It's all you have to do for free money. Yes. Free money. They give you a $10 casino chip as well. Just use promo code BARN. MyBookie.ag. For those who aren't aware, all heck has broken loose in Knoxville.
Whew.
Nico Iamaleava, the starting quarterback, didn't show up for practice today. Their spring game is Saturday, just like Auburn's.
And according to reports, the coaching staff, it was unexpected. They didn't see it coming. And we saw reports earlier in the week kind of surface and say, hey, contract discussions between Tennessee and Nico's camp had kind of, escalated a little bit, or has come to a halt. They can't get there. And you saw a lot of folks say like, oh, this is bad, more so national folks. Mm-hmm. And then you saw other folks calling out the national people saying like, hey, y'all are lying. That could have been true. It totally could have been true. But then Friday, he doesn't show up. It's like, oh.
Yeah. So, like, how big a deal is it? Is he still going to show up and play? You see this in the NFL sometimes. Let's get the guy's contract settled, or he's not showing up for those OTAs. He's not showing up for those preseason practices. He's not in camp.
My thing, Brad, is if you're Tennessee, what are you doing? Pay him.
Well,
pay him. Okay. This isn't the NFL where upping a player's salary impacts the cap. There's no cap here. And there's been folks that have reported that his estimated earnings right now and his contract, which feels so weird to say, is between $2 and $2.5 million.
Yep.
And if that's the case, they are getting him for far under market. This is a dude who helped you get to the college football playoff a year ago.
And that's it.
That is it. But it's like, if you're Nico and you see the reports of, what Auburn paid Jackson Arnold, which wasn't entirely correct, but it's close, ballpark. Or what Dorian Mensah got, the former Tulane guy, what he's getting from Duke. Like, you're telling me he's getting paid more than Nico?
Yeah.
I don't know. So if you're Nico and you're looking around, it's like, well, come on. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
The report, and I'm looking at an article now from the Knoxville News Sentinel online. So this is Knoxville. This is the hometown newspaper.
Yeah, local, right.
That the report is that Nico's camp is asking $4 million. If you're Tennessee, no, there's no cap. But the flip side of that is there's no cap, which means if it's 4 now, what is it next year? What is it in 2 years? And I understand the house settlement and there's going to be revenue sharing and some of that. So some of this is also a little bit like, how many more players? And that's why you bring this up on a show that's not a Tennessee show. How many more players across the country are going to do this? Portal opens in 5 days. It opens on April 16th.
Right.
So it's pretty shrewd from the player's perspective. If you can get an extra $2 million for a year, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
If Nico hits the portal in a few days, he will get paid more than $4 million at his next school.
Okay. Probably, yes.
Now, I think, like, I'm a Nico guy. Yeah. I think he's incredible. And I do think there were times last year where he underperformed, but I think he is a stud, right? Like, I am very pro Nico. Can't say his last name, but I love watching him play football. But down the stretch, like, the Tennessee's defense, surprisingly, we talked about how, like, their defense kind of, I think, leaned over their skis a little bit, but that's what got them the opportunity to play, play Ohio State in the college football playoff. And that's why many people picked them to go into Columbus and win. Didn't happen. Obviously, Ohio State won the national championship. But if you're Nico, I mean, this would be would this be the biggest story of the transfer portal era?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
I think it would be. Travis Hunter, I guess, is up there.
Travis is number one right now, but Nico would become number one. Look, for reference, okay, Tennessee went 10-3, and I understand that football is a quarterback game, but Tennessee as a team went
Well, they went 10-2, and then they lost in the playoffs.
right, but that's not like a regular bowl game that shouldn't count. Like it's not like you're playing in the Capital One Bowl or something. So, but they played 13 games. He passed for 201 yards a game.
Mm-hmm.
201 yards. He had 19 touchdowns, so a touchdown and a half a game, and only 5 interceptions. If you're Tennessee, are you paying $4 million?
I think you have to
for 200 yards.
I think you have to.
But within that offense, is he the only guy that can pass for 200 yards a game?
That's what
kids
clearly. And like, we don't know what Tennessee's collective has come back with. Have they come back with 3 or 3.5 or 3.8?
Right.
And Nico's camp is like, no, we want 4, because I think they're going to get it. They may not get it from Tennessee, but they're going to get it from somebody.
Sure.
And so I'm sure Tennessee's asking themselves the same question too. This looks terrible. It looks awful for Tennessee.
I'm not
You're not
all
there.
in. I'm not
You're
all
not
in
there.
on that it looks awful for Tennessee. I think Tennessee's looking at 200 yards a game and going, I got 2 4-star guys on my roster. And I got a Josh Heupel offensive system that is a part of the reason that Nico, I'm going to leave you, is valued at the point that he is valued right now. Because in a different system, maybe Nico, I'm going to leave you, is not valued as highly as he is right now.
That's an outstanding point. I mean, we've seen it now with Hendon Hooker, right? And I would guess Hendon's numbers were better than that. I don't have that in front of me, but my gut, it feels like he passed for more than 200 yards a game when he was there. You're looking that up, Greg, because I want to be correct on that. But obviously, like, Dylan Sampson was incredible at Tennessee last year, led the SEC in rushing, I'm pretty sure. So how much of that was overall impact of what Nico, like the threat of Nico at quarterback? We all know that all that matters. Would Dylan Sampson have led the SEC if an average SEC quarterback was there at Tennessee? Like, I don't know. You're making faces.
Buddy, these numbers for Hendon Hooker, okay? His last 2 years at Tennessee, or his 2 years at Tennessee,
right?
He passed for 6,000 yards. 58 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Man, he was great. He was great at Tennessee.
He was twice as good statistically. As Nico.
As Nico. I'm going to leave you. That's hilarious. That's so funny. Yeah. So, I mean, you've swayed me a little bit on this. I still think if you're Tennessee, like, I don't think the opportunity cost is worth it.
Yeah.
Because your options are then, we've got to play a guy that has been sitting the bench. I mean, I assume they've got a backup quarterback ready to go.
They have a couple of guys, like, just reading this article, and it's a little bit about the spring game, which is funny. It's like, what does it matter who's going to play in the spring game? But they've got a couple of high school, like, guys, 4-star guys they signed out of high school.
Who do they have?
Redshirt freshman Jake Merklinger and freshman George McIntyre.
Okay, got it.
So
it's like, can you get to the playoffs with those guys? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know that I would allow.
Here's my prediction.
Yeah.
I bet this story just goes away. I bet it goes away. I bet he shows up, whether he shows up at Tennessee's spring game or not.
Yeah.
I think he gets paid. And from a PR point of view, they're like, we're not going to say that, we've got a new contract or anything. You're paid. You're happy. Yeah. Let's just not say anything and just you stay enrolled. And let's just keep going. I think that's what's going to happen.
It ain't going to just go away.
It could. I think if they handle it the right way, it could go away.
I think there's so much intrigue around this. First of all, there's such a short period of time. He's either back in the spring game, which is Saturday. I mean, it's
true. It's a quick turnaround.
And like, all right, well, what happened? Or he's not, and the portal is in less than a week.
How many players are there that could have this type of control in a contract negotiation?
Well, there's 10 other quarterbacks that could have this. I mean, you could probably have 20 or 30 quarterbacks across the country that have this kind of leverage.
Yeah, and I think it goes deeper than quarterback. Like, I think
For
there's 2
sure.
players on Auburn's team that could do it.
No, I agree.
Non-quarterback.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not gonna say who they are or anything like that, but, like, I think there's 2 where it's like, it's so important.
Now that it's happening, are you a little surprised it hasn't happened more?
Well, it was always going to, right?
Yeah.
This was always gonna happen at some point.
These conversations happen year-round with people who run these collectives. I mean, you got people who run collectives having to take phone calls on Christmas Eve from guys and representatives of guys who are going, listen, I want a different deal. Let's talk about it. We're like, you got a deal.
Yeah, because the portal's open.
Yeah.
And like, these deals don't mean anything until you're actually allowed to have contracts. This is going to continue to happen. And I don't understand why we're not doing the whole contract thing. I think it should vary based on the kid coming out of high school. But I think eventually, once contracts are a thing, your typical contract of when you commit to a school out of high school will be for 2 years.
Yep.
Some of the larger guys, maybe it's for 3. Some of the latter guys that are like, maybe the 25th guy in the class, maybe it's just for 1, just to kind of get on campus or whatever. I think that's where it heads to at some point, because right now, like, you can't do this because Nico's the first, but I got a feeling, and it's so late in spring, but it's going to happen again. It has to.
It has to. This was, like you said, it was only a matter of time. And I know there are layers to this, and I'm not going to be the old guy saying, get off my lawn, and I just wish we could go back the way we used to. That's not realistic. That's not the conversation. And so there's legal laws, there's state laws, federal laws, there's school policies, there's NCAA stuff, there's conference stuff. I understand it's multi-layered. But it's like if a tree falls on your house, it's the most important thing for you to take care of in that moment. I don't understand how this isn't the huge thing that we're getting to a resolution on.
Are you talking about from the SEC or from the NCAA?
Yeah, I'm talking about college football in general. Whoever is going to step up and lead that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no
who does that, because the NCAA is not going to do it.
There's no cap. There's no regulation. There's no nothing. And that's not new. There hasn't been for 4 years almost.
Yeah. And once again, because of all of that, those are the rules that they're that's the game. This isn't Nico's fault.
Right. It's the system. Now, you may not like it. You may think he's, look, you commit to a school, you agree to a contract, or you agree to a deal. Now let's hold up our end of that deal. And if you want to fault him, if you want to take some moral stance on that, okay. I understand.
But we also don't know every conversation that's happened. I mean, who knows if he sat down with them in the December window and they're like, hey, we'll take care of you. Let us get this class together first. Yeah. And then maybe they never did. Yeah. Maybe they never got back to him. Maybe they threw him an extra $500,000 and it wasn't enough, Maybe Tennessee valued him at 2 or 2.5 based on Hendon Hooker's stats. And then they went back to Nico and said, Nico, I think we do need to rework this, but got to tell you, we're going to need some different numbers. Yeah. My gut is this all settles down, but this could be one of the biggest this could be a historically impactful series of events. Yeah. When we talk about the great, the story of college football, when we tell it, 50 years from now. Yep. This will be part of it if it goes a certain way. Yes. If Tennessee does pony up, the number of times you see this is going to ramp up a ton. Because if it were, in other words, or the other way, or they don't pay and he leaves because of it. Yeah. But then that's what I was referring to. But see, at least then you see what happens and you go, all right, well, yeah, he went somewhere else. And, now that's probably kind of back in Nico's court. I'll give you that. Yeah, that's true. Whereas if Tennessee just says, okay, no, you're right. You got to play in the spring game. You got to stay here. We'll give you what you need. Now, every guy who has any bit of leverage, maybe I should do the same thing. I'm getting 800,000. Maybe I should get 1.4. Yeah, I mean, if you're DJ Lagway and you see this and it works, what do you do?
Yeah. What do you do?
You're Lenora Sellers at South Carolina. You're like,
If
well, hold on, that's more than I make.
I'm telling you, if Nico takes the field for Tennessee's spring game and all is well, all of those guys would be within the confines of this is the structure, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
All those guys have ground to say, well, all right, portal's in 3 days. What conversation do we have?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk.
That's wild. Wild stuff. All right, we'll talk a little A-Day within the confines of the six-pack.
Okay.
Roback.com, RHOBACK.com is where you can go to get all the collared shirts, all the performance hoodies, all of the quarter zips, all at Roback.com. We don't want you to pay full price. RHOBACK.com. Use promo code VICE20 to get 20% off your order. That is at Roback.com. I saw another story just before we get into the six-pack, Brad,
yes,
if you don't
please.
mind.
Yes.
I mean, we talk about historic runs, what the Patriots did at the first half of Tom Brady's career, and then what they did, the last few years of his career, what the Kansas City Chiefs have just done.
Yeah.
UCLA basketball, the Golden State Warriors. I mean, just talking about historic runs.
Yeah.
And then there's always just these mixed feelings when these runs end. Some people love it. Some people are glad it's over.
Yeah.
Whatever. We just saw one of the most historic runs in modern American society come to an end. And I don't know how to feel about it.
I'm so curious because you didn't tell me about this ahead of time. What are you talking about specifically?
For the last 7 years, Olive Garden was seen as America's top restaurant chain.
Oh.
It is no longer. Olive Garden is no longer America's top restaurant chain.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Who has supplanted Olive Garden? Don't tell me it's Applebee's. I will throw something through the sheetrock.
Applebee's is fine. Not better than Olive Garden, but it's fine.
That's why I said that. Yeah.
Ours in town is not good, but when you go out of town to an Applebee's, it's great.
Do you go to a lot of out-of-town Applebee's?
Yeah, because I know other ones are much better. Yeah.
Okay.
A well-run Applebee's is a machine, but whatever.
Zach,
Still not better than Olive Garden.
Zach, 2002 called and they want their restaurant choices back, okay?
Okay, whatever. Okay. You don't even eat lunch. I don't care.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah, you get 3 guesses. I'll give you 3 guesses on what is America's top restaurant chain now.
Okay. All right.
We have one. We have one here.
So I'm thinking there's a lot of them. These are sit down.
Yes.
Okay. Longhorn.
No, but you were so close.
Outback.
You're all over it.
Texas Roadhouse.
Bang.
Okay.
Bang. I don't get it. Texas Roadhouse is fine. It's fine.
Well, all those places are fine.
They're all fine.
They're all fine. There's not any of them that are just. But I get in trouble with this on the road because one of I can't believe I'm going to talk about this. I'm trying to decide if I want to talk about this.
Probably shouldn't.
One of the big things for our crew is where are we going to go eat? Where are we going to go eat? Where are we going to eat the night before a football game?
Yeah, sure.
And
I don't think that's an unusual thing.
There's a lot of talk about the importance of the restaurant. And I'm a little bit of a black sheep in this conversation because I'm like, I don't really care about the restaurant. It's about the people. It's about what are we going to talk about? What are we going to what's going to happen that we're going to remember here?
Okay, I got that. Sure.
The chicken, the steak, the seafood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we were going to places where it's like $100 a plate, like I do on a random Wednesday night, then that's different. But but for these, it's just not that big a deal. So all these places are fine. They're fine.
Okay.
So Texas Roadhouse is number 1.
I just want to salute Olive Garden and say, what a run.
They cut
an incredible run.
They cut back their national advertising budget. And for
Olive
those of you
Garden?
yes, for those of you with businesses, this is what happens. People look at advertising and they think, well, I don't have the money to advertise. When the actual ticket to success is, no, you can't afford not to advertise.
That's right. Right.
When you pull back, you're going to see your results diminish as well.
I tell you what, though, and like we don't go there that often. We don't go to Olive Garden that often. We really don't go out to eat as much as we used to. But
it's been a long time I've been.
Yeah, got a million kids. But anytime my oldest, like we're celebrating something, you know, she does a school performance or ballet or whatever, birthday. All right, you pick where we're going. Olive Garden.
Yeah.
Olive Garden. She's not spouting out Texas Roadhouse.
No.
She's not saying I want those buttery, beautiful rolls. She's saying I want the white pasta from Olive Garden. I'm like, okay.
And there
we'll
you
go get you that Alfredo.
I do like the salad and breadsticks, but we have a place in town that's local that also does salad and bread that is,
I mean, salad and bread's not a unique thing, right?
No.
Like, most places have it.
Right. Yeah, but they use enough garlic butter that and whatever the dressing is.
Oh, I gotcha. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a minute. All right. 6-pack.
Okay. We'll try to get into that a little bit here, because this isn't an 8-day game. It's a practice. So how do you judge what success is in a practice? So here's my 6-pack of numbers or lines or what have you. 4.5 receivers you walk away very excited about.
Over.
Okay. Yeah, you've been pretty solid. There are 5 guys that you think are going to be a big part of the offense. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll even throw in, I mean, I'm kind of twisting your question, but I think, I don't know if it's Preston Howard or Rico Walker, but yeah, I mean, I think we feel good about one of those guys too.
All right. You think we see enough of them in the practice to where you go, yeah, I'm excited. I'm real excited about it.
I think it depends on how the practice is run.
Right.
I think yeah. So maybe. Okay. Maybe if it's a lot of just reps of like, you know, as many routes and as many throws as possible, and it's less like 11 on 11. It just depends on what they show us.
Right. Yeah.
I think the opportunity to have that much is there. Yeah. Yes.
Which I think that is what's intriguing about A-Day this year is, what are they going to show? What are they going to do?
Yeah. And some of it, especially with the receivers, to me is like, we've seen the videos and we've heard all the excitement or whatever, but I think people are going to see Horatio Fields and be like, holy cow.
Yeah.
I think people are going to see, you know, second year Cam Coleman and be like, yep, that's a future NFL star. Absolutely. Yeah. I think they're going to see the quickness of Singleton. I don't care if it's 1-on-1 or 11-on-11. It's like, yeah, that guy can play.
Yeah.
So I do think a lot, like to your number of 4.5, like I think you're almost there without any of those guys even getting a catch, if I'm being 100% honest. So yeah.
Yeah. And it's
that's
just
my thought process there.
Yeah. Okay. No, I get it. That checks out.
You agree? Right. Over?
Yeah. I think so. So. I also think we're conditioned to be excited about anything we see on A-Day. So we're going to think more of the guys we see than what will actually bear out in stats.
Yep.
So as we talk today, and if you're watching this on Friday, we're exactly 140 days away from Auburn's first game. Exactly 140.
Wow.
My question is, will Auburn rush for 140 yards per game or more in 2025? Last year, they rushed for 165 a game. Will they rush for 140 a game?
Yes.
You're very confident about that.
I think Auburn's offense should be pretty good this year. Yeah.
Okay. I think they will too, but I don't think it's that quick. I think you can think about it a little more because they're going to pass it more theoretically.
I just think the piece of the pie is so much larger.
Okay.
It's just, you think my gut reaction is like, I just think Auburn's going to run a lot more plays this year.
Okay. All right.
There's no way they're as bad on third down. There's just no way.
That's true. That's true. And you don't think the loss of Jarquez Hunter plays into a decrease in yards per game?
It could, but I also think Auburn gets that number differently. I think it's gonna be more committee for sure, and some of that might be Jackson, some of that might be Damari, some of it might be jet sweep stuff. That sounds like that's becoming a thing with Singleton.
Okay.
So, yeah, sure. Yeah, I still
Okay.
think they can get there.
I love a good jet sweep. I really do.
It opens up so much. I mean, I
Mhm.
love like the fakes that you can run off of it too, because like the
Yeah.
safety, especially with like how fast they are, like you got to look at it. And if you send a guy up a seam or it looks like he's blocking and in the last second it's a route or whatever, like just
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff you can do off of it.
Who is the best jet sweep runner in Auburn football history?
It's got to be McCaleb. Nope.
Okay.
Or it could be
McCaleb?
Corey Grant.
He was pretty good. Corey Grant was good too, but Ricardo Lewis, I think, was the best one to do it. I think Ricardo.
Oh, I don't think so.
You don't think Ricardo Lewis?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, I think his
I want to make
size
sure
and
the stat
speed-
is correct. Hold on.
Okay.
I mean, and this just blows me away every time I look at it.
I mean, now look, McCaleb has the most famous one against LSU, but Ricardo went 75 against South Carolina
Yeah.
on the same play, same part of the field, same route, everything.
Yeah.
What are you looking up? I'm so curious.
I can't find it.
Okay. Defensively, how do you judge success in practice? Like, what do you? It's easy. Like, is the quarterback throwing an accurate ball to the receivers? And what do you?
I've got it.
Okay.
So until a few years ago, and like obviously Jarquez passed them and Tank has passed them, but for a while, Ontario McCaleb was like in the top 10 all time in Auburn rushing yards. And that's just crazy to me with how small he was, but like that's how effective and explosive he was. I mean, like we talk about him like he's a jet sweep guy, and it's like, no, this guy, like with Auburn's storied history of rushers and running backs and Heisman winners and Heisman finalists at the running back position, Ontario McCaleb, for like a decade after he was done playing, was top 10 in all-time rushing yards. It's insane to me.
Yeah. And imagine
and he's like labeled as a jet sweep guy. It's like that's just crazy.
And imagine how many more yards per touch he'd have if he had taken any contact whatsoever. Like take one hit on the sideline. Maybe not. Maybe he'd have taken less because he'd have missed games or missed times.
In fact, in the top of all, I mean, you've got to go a long way down to find somebody who has a higher. Never mind, Brent Fullwood in the top 20. The only person that has like more of a like yards per rush higher than him is Brent Fullwood. I mean, we're talking about like statistically, like when you talk about effectiveness and efficiency, Ontario McCaleb is elite historically.
Okay. All right. You know what? You've swayed me. We don't talk enough about how good Ontario McCaleb was.
I really don't think we do.
Yeah.
I really don't think we do.
So it wasn't just Cam Newton in 2010. What would that team have done without Ontario McCaleb? People are wondering.
People are asking.
All right. I don't have any more six-pack questions. I want to finish out by asking you about Auburn baseball against LSU. 3 games, top 10 series. What do you think?
I tell you what, Brad, we were talking about this before we clicked record. Like, I haven't been this excited about an Auburn baseball series in the regular season in a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I'm stoked. Auburn ranked as high as 9.
Yeah.
LSU ranked as high as 3, depending on what polls you're looking at. So, I mean, we're calling it a top 10 battle happening in Plainsman Park. I think LSU has the edge when it comes to pitching.
Yep.
But Auburn's been able to hit at home. I can't wait to see it. I'm stoked for this weekend.
You know what I think's interesting? Auburn's best starter to this point has been Sam Dutton, LSU transfer. LSU's top hitter in conference play is Chris Stanfield.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. He's hitting 375 with 8 doubles in league games only.
Yeah.
So
he's good.
That's going to be.
Hey, we lost him.
Yeah, me too. He didn't hit like that here last year, but it would be good to see Chris. It would be good to see his mom and dad at the ballpark and
see his hat fall off his head every time he makes a play on defense.
That's a great point.
Yep.
Yeah, and to see if Sam Dutton can go 7 innings again. 2 home starts in conference for Sam. He's gone 7 innings both times.
Dutton's got to defend the ranch, the family ranch.
That's right. That's exact. He's gonna bring the branding iron out.
That's right.
Weekend.
Okay.
They ought. That's so good. Why is the Yellowstone theme not his entrance music at the beginning of a game? I don't know. It really ought to be.
I don't know. It's an overrated TV show.
I will.
The last season was bad, dude. The last season was bad. The first 2 or 3 seasons, solid. Really, really good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. The back half of the last season, once Costner was out. Because up until then, it was fine.
I think even the season before that, I didn't watch. We had to, like, we quit watching it. We were scheduled viewing of it every single week. And we couldn't finish, I guess, the season before Costner left, because I never watched any of it without Costner.
I can't believe you at the very end of the show just throw a grenade like that. And
the
then
first 3
leave.
seasons were really, really good.
Uh-huh.
And it was probably the best active. I'm trying to think of what else was on TV at that time, but it was one of, if not the best active shows on television. But they didn't finish it and went too long. And I think that matters.
Okay. I'm with you on the non-Costner episodes. I was disappointed.
Yeah, I didn't make it. I didn't make it that far.
But they were also like, they were screwed. They what could they do without him as a part of it?
100%.
Okay.
100%. Wow. I mean, we saw that with like the Netflix show House of Cards. We saw that with House of Cards
same
too. It's
thing.
Like I'd almost rather than just not finish it.
Yes.
But they did. And they shouldn't have.
Let that be a lesson to the industry.
Yeah, just pull the plug. It's like, all right, you made a bad bet of who you casted. Whatever.
We're all okay with it. We would rather do that. We'd rather just imagine how they would have ended it. Quite frankly.
That's right.
Okay. Good stuff.
That does it for today's show.
It does. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for subscribing. Hope you enjoy A-Day. Hope you enjoy everything the weekend has. Baseball, Masters, whatever you decide to.
Masters should have been part of the 6-pack.
That's true. It should have been.
Patton Kizzire, baby. I don't think he had a good Thursday, but whatever.
Bernhard Longer just made a shot that I saw, so that's good for him.
Love that.
Yeah. All right. Remember, until next time, everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.